I want to show you something that's hiding in plain sight. The next time you walk past a government building or scroll through footage of Capitol Hill, look at the flags. American flag, Israeli flag, side by side, in the hallways of your Congress, and most people walk right past it without blinking. So today we're going to talk about what that flag represents, not symbolically, financially, because there is a money loop operating inside the US government that most Americans have no idea exists. And I have to warn you, it's not a clean circle. It's a knot. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let's start with your money. Since Israel was founded in 1948, the United States has sent approximately $305 billion in foreign aid to Israel, adjusted for inflation. More cumulative aid than any other country on earth has ever received from the US. Every year, locked in by a 10-year agreement signed in 2016, the US sends Israel approximately $3.8 billion in military assistance annually, without debate. It's baked in. Then October 7th, 2023 happened, and Congress added an emergency $8.7 billion military supplement on top of that. Over $16 billion in direct military aid in under 2 years. The Israeli Defense Ministry confirmed that since October 2, 2023, the U.S. delivered 90,000 tons of weapons and equipment on 800 transport planes and 140 ships. That's not support, that's a supply chain, and you're paying for it. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. There is an organization called AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It's a lobbying group. Its stated mission is to ensure U.S. support for Israel. For 60 years, AIPAC worked behind the scenes, meeting with staffers, briefing politicians, building relationships. Effective, but mostly invisible. Then in 2022, something changed. AIPAC decided, for the first time in its history, to spend directly on U.S. elections. In the 2024 election cycle alone, $127 million spent on congressional races, not on one party, on both. They spent money in more than 80% of congressional races, 389 out of 469 seats up for election, House and Senate, Republican and Democrat. And they're already 28 million deep into the 2026 cycle. Now, and I want to stop here because this is the question a lot of smart people ask when they first see these numbers. Wait, where does AIPAC's money come from? Didn't we pay for that too? Partially. And the part we didn't pay for is arguably worse. Here's how it actually works. The U.S. sends Israel $3.8 billion a year in military aid. A significant portion of that is supposed to be spent on American defense contractors. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon. Those contractors then become massive political donors themselves. They fund PACs. They lobby Congress. They fund the same politicians who approve the aid packages that send them the contracts. So that loop looks like this. Your tax dollars to Israel aid, to U.S. defense contractors, to political donations, to politicians who vote for more aid. That part is your money coming back around. But AIPAC's funding specifically comes primarily from wealthy private American donors, billionaires who use AIPAC's platform as a structured, legally clean delivery system for their political preferences. So technically, it's not a straight line from your paycheck to AIPAC. But here's why your instinct is right anyway. Those billionaire donors have direct financial stakes in the defense relationship. Weapons manufacturers, defense industry investors, people who profit when the aid pipeline stays open. So the money flowing into AIPAC is connected to the money flowing out of the U.S. Treasury, just not in a straight line. It's a knot, not a circle. Here's the detail that should end the debate, and somehow almost nobody talks about it. Israel is the only country in the world that receives U.S. military aid as a direct cash transfer. Every other nation that gets U.S. military assistance has to spend it on American goods. It stays in the U.S. economy. That's the deal. Israel negotiated an exception. They receive the money and they decide how to spend it, including with non-U.S. suppliers. So your tax dollars go to Israel. Israel spends a portion of it wherever it chooses. The aid continues because the lobbying organization funded by the defense industry donors keeps the politicians in place who keep voting for it. And the whole thing sustains itself. Let me put the full picture together now. Step 1, AIPAC, funded by billionaire donors with defense industry stakes, pours money into congressional races, both parties, most seats. Step 2, those politicians get elected or stay elected with that funding. Step 3, they sit on the committees that vote on the federal budget, including foreign aid. Step 4, the aid package sends billions to Israel, some of it cycling back through U.S. defense contractors who fund the next round of political donations. Step 5, the politicians who ask questions about any of this get targeted in their primaries with AIPAC money. Step 6, repeat. This is not a theory. Every dollar is on file with the Federal Election Commission. The aid figures are public record. The defense contractor donations are public record. What you're looking at is a foreign policy priority of a foreign government being maintained inside the United States legislative process, legally, out in the open, while most Americans have no idea it exists. Now, back to those flags. You started noticing Israeli flags in congressional offices because they are there, and there are a lot of them. This became visible and politically normalized after October 7th, 2023. Members of Congress began using the Israeli flag as a public signal, a way of saying without words where their allegiance sits. An outlet called TRT World sent a reporter to Capitol Hill and documented dozens of lawmakers displaying Israeli flags outside their offices. Nearly as many Israeli flags as American ones in the hallways of your Congress. Not the British flag, not the German flag, not the Ukrainian flag, despite the billions being sent there too, the Israeli flag specifically. And when one congressman did propose banning all foreign flags from the Capitol, it was triggered by a Palestinian flag. The Israeli flags were never the concern. That tells you everything about the political calculus in that building. Those flags aren't just solidarity, they're a receipt, a public display of who funded the campaign and who the politician intends to keep funding in return. I want to speak directly to the people who feel uneasy about all of this, but aren't sure if they're allowed to say so. You're not anti-Semitic for noticing this. Criticizing the financial influence of a lobbying organization over your elected representatives is not a hate crime. It is democracy. It is exactly what an informed citizen is supposed to do. The problem is not Jewish people. The problem is a system that allows any outside interest, foreign or domestic, religious or corporate, to purchase access to your government with enough money. AIPAC is simply very, very good at it. And it has been doing it longer than most lobbying organizations have existed. What makes it distinct is the scale, the bipartisanship, and the silence around it. When foreign governments try to influence U.S. elections through other means, we call it interference. When AIPAC does it, we call it lobbying. The legal distinction is real. The effect on your representation is the same. I'm not leaving you with just outrage. That's not useful. Go to opensecrets.org. It's free. Search your representative's name. You will see every dollar they have received from every pack, including APAC. It takes 5 minutes. When you see that number, and you will see a number, contact their office. Not to yell, to ask one question. Who do you represent? Pay attention to who APAC targets in primaries. The politicians they spend the most money removing are usually the ones asking the questions you should want asked. And share this video, because most people feel something is off. They see the flags, they see the numbers, but nobody has laid out the full knot for them in plain language. Now you have it. You are paying billions of dollars a year to a foreign military. Your representatives are displaying that nation's flag in the hallways of your capital. The organization that funds those representatives spent $127 million in a single election cycle to make sure the politicians who ask questions about it don't stay in office. That's not a theory. That's not anti-Semitism. That's a receipt. I'm Lil, and this is Lil Unfiltered.